Welcome to the Luminary Lounge. We've been waiting for you. This is not a place to get definite answers. In fact, it's quite the opposite. Please, open your minds, think for yourself, and do your own research. Enjoy today's guest.
Yeah,
All right, everybody. Yeah, you heard that? Yeah.
I heard that.
Recording in progress. Got Lance, like we have the past couple times. We have somebody new here, Mr. 76. He's on TikTok. Let's go ahead and have you go first. What are your other platforms that you're on? Is it just Mr. 76 or is it just TikTok?
Well, I'm Mr. 76 everywhere you can find the hashtag Mr. 76. I've tried to diversify. My main one is TikTok. I did pretty well on Facebook, but I started talking about the country which we shall not name, which are doing the things to the people that we shall not name. And literally, the moment I was posting, they took my page down. So I lost 60,000 followers on that page. So that kind of hurt. But you live and you learn. And as much as I want to speak out in certain things, I got to kind of be a bit of self-perseverance. But I'm on X, YouTube, Instagram. I started a Rumble page, but mainly I'm on TikTok. I'm trying to break out a little bit further, but it's hard to do that, Yeah. And I did it once. It's a little disheartening. So I've been focusing my time on a few other projects in the meantime, instead of opening up new social streams,
Yeah, man, me and Lance need to learn from you because, Lance, have you done Rumble yet?
No, I got it downloaded, but I haven't messed with it yet.
Okay. Yeah, I've like watched, gone through it and stuff, but it's already so hard just with YouTube and TikTok and then now Instagram too. Of just going back and forth. And then we were talking about this, Lance, but some algorithms like, you need to do those videos through Instagram. I can't put a TikTok video on an Instagram feed because, it seems like it doesn't perform as good, but we'll get there. Lance, go ahead and drop your stuff too.
So y'all know me if you've been paying attention to Logan's awesome show here. I'm Lance Lance from Upstate. You can find me I was on TikTok, Lance from Upstate, but they kept mixing me and talking about that same kind of stuff. But so we are on Instagram now, Lance from Upstate, YouTube, on Threads. I have a Facebook, Lance Barber, but I had a Facebook for all of 5 days and then they banned me for no reason. And then when I made this new Facebook, they automatically restricted me right from the get-go and they violated me for uploading a profile picture. So
that's messed up. Sorry.
No profile picture.
Yeah, it was just
I haven't heard that picture.
One. Yeah, one of my followers made those pictures of me like ringing the bell with my shirt off.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, and they flagged me for that. And then Mr. 76, actually, he made me the awesome Lancelot Excalibur, and that's my background. And I put that in all the videos and stuff. And
nice. You made that? Okay.
Yeah, he made that for me, dude. You gotta bring up your website and stuff too for your merch.
Yeah, dude, I got all sorts of stuff. So I got a merch page. I'm on my third self-published book, which is I've got 2 different places there selling on Lulu.com and on Amazon. I've got a Redbubble page, which is where I have all my merch. So yeah, and I'm also I try everything. I'm on Threads. I'm on Blue Sky, YouTube, Instagram. I throw it all out there, but I really invested a lot of time on the Facebook one. So when I lost the Facebook, it's hard to start and look over at your followers and like, oh, there's like 10 followers on there. Where do I start?
Dude, it hurts. Like, let's be honest. Yeah, especially because you're working hard for it. You work hard for it. I mean, and like for me personally, and you were just talking about your kids and stuff, like, with kids and a job and whatever your life, just life being life, and then trying to get videos out and make people watch them. It's a lot, it really is. It's frustrating.
People don't really give the respect to the amount of time it takes to make videos. I write a script. I spend time figuring out the voiceover, the music, and then I design the whole video behind it, getting images off the internet, AI created generated images, video clips, and merging them all together, editing them. By the time I'm done, sometimes these videos take a very long time. And like you said, I got 3 kids. I got a full-time job. I got a bunch of different health issues, and I got a girlfriend I'm trying to juggle. So, there's a lot of stuff in life that I don't make a penny from this. I see some people recently saying that they make 100 pounds a day. They make, to me, this is not for the money. I make no money. I made 46 pence last month. How? I don't know, but it's just the way it is. I don't go.
I just showed up.
It's more about just the passion of trying to do it. So it's kind of hard to get a smack in the face or misinformation,
Yeah.
or something like, I know Lance has gone through a lot of it over in TikTok, so he can relate. I've been
Yeah.
battling that beast for a while. So it gets a bit frustrating, but I do what I can do. But
Yeah.
it's hard to start branching out even farther,
Yeah. Yeah. Well, you're hitting all branches right now. It sounds like. What is your publishing? What I'm always curious about. I would love to one day get to writing a book, but what are your books about?
Uh, I've written 3 books. The first book I wrote was called The Whispers of the Forgotten Empire, A Path to Tartaria. So I really kind of started describing my own personal path to
Oh, cool.
coming to terms with the fact that we live in a hidden world. We live on the back of a bunch of lies covering up a hidden world. And
Okay.
so that was my book, Whispers of a Forgotten Empire. But from there, I got a little bit rebellious and started I made a manifesto. So my second book was The Yellow Pages, a Manifesto of Truth, was really just talking about how from the moment we can walk and talk, we're stuck right into a systematic brainwashing. When they stick you in school, they teach you, okay, you first start school, if you're a young child, you have a lot of questions. You ask why a million different times. Oh, here we got somebody joining now. Oh, that's you. Hey, you
No,
pulled on my page.
that's
Thank you very
yeah,
much.
Pull
pulling
it
up the
up,
page.
buddy.
Yeah, no,
That was quick,
I
brother.
gotta put it out there. Gotta put it out there. No, keep
Thank
going.
you.
I just wanted to
Thank you very
flash it
much.
real quick. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that book again is really more about my personal my personal quest, the beginnings of my personal quest. I've had this stuff about these buildings for my whole life. I'm the guy who walked down the street and constantly looking at these buildings, like, why is that like that? Why was
Yeah.
that built like that? How was that? And everybody around was like, shut up, man. Just shut up, man. What they built it. And so I was in this world on my own. And then I came over here to Wales way back in 2003. And I toured, I traveled Europe for about 5 months, and I saw about 21 different cities. And I've gone to more buildings, more historical Tartarian buildings than anybody. I don't ring that bell, but people say I don't know what I'm talking about. I'm like, dude, I've been all over the place. So I've been to
That's so
hundreds and
cool.
hundreds and hundreds of these locations, and I just kept on with the same questions. And it wasn't until a couple of years ago when I connected the dots with Tartaria. There was a guy called the Bully Slayer, who was on TikTok. You might be familiar. And
Yeah,
he put,
bullet, of course. Of
I
course.
scrolled into his page. He's like, "You want to find out more about Tartaria, do you?"
Dude, he's the
Good.
freaking best, man. Yeah, he's
Oh, it was
awesome.
amazing.
Yeah.
So I
Yeah.
started. It helped to create that bridge between what I've already been thinking for many years to a storyline. Yeah,
Yeah.
and that's when I connected the dots, and I started on my own personal little journey. Man, I started here in Wales, going from place to place. One of the first buildings I went to, which I had gone to frequently, was the National Museum of Wales, which is in Cardiff. And
Mm.
I kind of just looked at it from a different perspective, and I was like, "Yo, look at this big ass column here, man." I was like, look at all these bricks. How were these stones made? Hammer and chisel. Then I started really. It set me on a path to just start going to building after building after building.
This one right here. This bad boy right here.
You pulling it up now? Yeah. Let's see what you got.
That's it.
Yeah, that's the one. Yep. So if you look at the front of there, and I
Think
frequented
how
that
many
place
build
many
think
times.
of how many buildings look exactly like this worldwide. Isn't that crazy? Okay,
Yes.
sorry, keep
Now,
going.
if you're pulling up video, this is Cardiff Museum, but it's in something called the Cardiff Civic Center. So in
Mm.
this Cardiff Civic Center, there's the courthouse, the city hall, Cardiff University buildings, and the whole area is built like that, and it's full of these massive statues, and all sorts of intricate stonework, which you guys are familiar with. But for here to be seeing that stuck right in the middle of the city center, it just started to make me. It gave me a focal point to start off my quest, and then I started going a little bit farther, looking at cathedrals and all these different churches across Wales. And I have a story. Here's my quick one.
Dude,
Which
rip it out.
set
Let's
me
go.
out,
I'm
right?
I'm already into
Here's
this,
the
like
one, right?
hardcore. Yeah, yeah.
I live here in the UK now for 23 years.
Yeah.
I've become familiar with the culture here in Wales and the historical significance of their culture. They have St. David's Day as opposed to St. Patrick's Day. They have different uniforms that they wear on those days. There's the daffodil, there's the music, there's a history with the coal and the steel industries, etc., etc. But I started asking the question, how is it then that there isn't an equal history, equal homage paid to the history of the master stonemasons, the
Yeah. Right.
the relevance of the fact that a place like even just the Cardiff Civic Center, but look at Cardiff in itself,
Hmm.
full of these buildings, and there's no history of the massive amounts of the horse and buggy superhighway that was going back and forth to the quarry 200 miles away.
It's quiet. It's that
Yeah,
part's quiet completely.
that part
Yeah.
is silent. And I go, well, if they're, you could tell me who made a steel mill and in the Industrial Revolution, and they got a name and a statue of the guy. How come you
Yeah.
can't tell me who built this building? How come you can't tell me how they managed to make every one of the stones and that build that Cardiff Museum exactly to the millimeter, exact, precise, smooth? I mean, butter smooth.
Yeah.
You can bring your hands over it.
Yeah.
So I started really asking these questions, and that's where it all stemmed from. And I kind of pulled all that together. I had it all in my head and threw it into a book called Whispers of the Forgotten Empire. And I've only made that one available as an ebook. Um, but it was pretty cool to just kind of say, holy shit, I wrote my first book. You
Hell
know?
yeah, dude. That's awesome. That's great. Hey, do you know, and I'm sure you have to if you're in this world, but Martin Lidke?
Yes, I do. Yes, he was.
Yeah, Martin.
I was a part of the this online Tartaria conference, and he was one of the speakers. I
Yeah.
got a 2 hour slot, and I spent a long time making a video presentation that I timed and I practiced. But somehow, when I read it during my 2 hour slot, I finished it in 23 minutes, and I spent the
Yeah, I
rest of
get
it.
that.
Yeah,
I get that.
I just kind of went right through it, slide for
Yeah.
slide, and
Yeah.
I missed out my pauses. It's a little bit
Yeah.
different when you're having all these people
Oh, it's
watching.
completely, dude. I'm in sales, like even just in work
Yeah.
and stuff, and I'm walking in feeling like a bad, like, oh, I got 30 minutes, I'm cool, and literally, yeah, I'll just be going straight through it. Nobody really even heard what I was saying. Well, so Martin, I know he lives in Cardiff, right? Doesn't he live in Cardiff? I believe he lives in
Uh,
Wales, I believe, but maybe not. But
You
anyways,
know what? We didn't connect the dots too much, but I'm gonna have to look into that a little bit more because
yeah.
if there's anybody here in Wales that's Tartarian themed guy, I got to speak to him.
Yeah, no, that's who you need to speak to. And I actually, I don't know if y'all are familiar with Jason Brashears, archaics.com on YouTube.
Okay.
He's from Texas too. Man, I need to put y'all on this, but he's talking about a lot of the resets and the Phoenix phenomenon. That there's 100 and I think I'm going to butcher it, but 100 something year Phoenix event that wipes out, you know, people, wipes out civilizations, this and that,
Yeah.
and they're on different scales. But and so I went to his meetup here, and Martin was there, and oh, what's his name? Martin, and I said it last time, but I'm gonna I'll figure. Oh, Campbell, but autodidactic. That's who I'm talking about, and he's
Yes.
Australian. But so we were talking after the deal, and he was like, I said, man, I would love to start a YouTube channel, whatever, da 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 da. And he was like, just do it, dude. Just do it. And it hit me like real hard. Like, and he said it so easily. He's just like, just do it. And Campbell was like, yeah, like we didn't know what we were doing either. You know what I mean? But
Yeah.
every single person I've met, and obviously you, sir, is everybody's been so genuine and so nice and so motivating. It's very, very welcoming and very comforting. And Lance, of course, and Rob that'll come on. Everybody's just been so gung ho about, yeah, you know, kick life's ass. You know what I mean? But yeah, sorry, that just came out of nowhere. But
No,
you need to
that's
connect.
brilliant. But that's it. Sometimes you get this motivation,
Yeah,
and for me, again, like yourself, I get encouraged by others' support, by others being on the same path. Like Lance will know when Lance first joined. I've been doing this now for about 3 years. And it got to the point that I at one point, I'm not saying this in any kind of braggadocious way. That's not me, but I was like one of the few people on there doing it. And then I saw this new
yeah.
wave. Lance was amongst this group of new wave, and I was like, "Hey, man, there's more people doing it." And then it just happened to connect the dots that Lance is traveling around my old stomping grounds in upstate New York. So it really raised
Oh,
the.
that's your okay. So you're from there originally up there.
I'm,
Yeah,
I'm originally from New York City, but then I was raised in until 18 or so in upstate New York, outside of Albany, New York. So I know
cool,
that whole area, and seeing
cool.
Lance running around up there. Lance from upstate. It's upstate. Only people from upstate call it upstate. They don't want to.
Yeah, Lance from upstate does,
Yeah.
right? Yeah,
Mhm.
that's so cool. Well, yeah, so what you were talking about a while ago, kind of your journey to get here. I could remember as a kid, and Lance, I would love to hear your side too, is asking my father, how did they build, watching movies in Europe and looking at whatever kind of chapel, whatever, massive building and asking, you know, how did they build that? Like, how did that happen? Why aren't we doing that now? If this was 2, 3, 400 years ago, why aren't we doing now? It just perplexed me. And nobody ever had answers. And that's, I'm guessing what you're, so, and that happened with you at an early age. And then finally, recently it hit you to where you go, oh my God,
Yeah,
I've been
yeah.
right. Like, this is ridiculous. It's such an eye-opening moment, it really is.
It is. Lance will know the building, the Albany Capitol, State Capitol
Yes,
building.
dude. It's
Yeah.
It's a
ridiculous.
ridiculous building. It's so ridiculous.
Hold
Dude.
When I
on,
was
Logan. You pulling up?
I'm going to
All
because I
right.
want to see it again.
pull it up, yeah. Now, when you pull up the building, right? But then also go into the main chambers, with the caucus chamber. I was 14 years old. I was involved in a bunch of different state student things, and my dad worked in the state, and he got me involved in this youth caucus where we had to go and pretend to be legislators and sit in that room.
Oh yeah.
Right now, look at
Okay.
that building. Now, I got a chance at a young age to go walking through that entire building. I got a tour of the building and brought into the caucus, the main hall. And I was, talking about like 150 other kids my age, and they're doing all the mock caucus that we all practice. But I was sitting there like, I don't know, ADHD, kind of just looking around the building, like nudging the guy next to me. How did they build that column up there?
Yeah.
How did they build that? And if you look at that, I was sitting in the middle of there. Okay.
Look at this. Look how
Yes.
freaking crazy that is.
So at
Yeah.
14 years old, I was in there just like perplexed. Honestly, like I was stunned, walking around the inside, just kind of looking around and also noticing that nobody else was. And that's where the whole point of recognizing how few people look around, how few
Yeah.
people absorb this information. Yeah, with their eyes. They kind of they absorb it with their brain. The brain kind of translates, oh, it's just done. This is just normal. And
This
they
is
can
how it
move
was
right
done.
on.
Yeah. This is how they told
Yeah.
us it was done. Like, that's it.
Yes,
It's the end of
that's
the
it.
story.
No
Yeah.
question about it. They said it. That means it, which goes back to the second book, The Yellow Pages, that we were systematically brainwashed from a very young age. We were that curious child within us of asking why, which was the first. Oh, he's so cute. He's asking why. He's so curious. Gets quickly stomped out. It gets
Yeah.
stomped out to stop asking questions, do what you're told, listen, sit down, put your
Shut
hand
up.
down,
Yeah.
shut up. Every question that you have has already been answered.
This
And
is
here's the book.
important. What you're saying isn't important. This is important. I'm going to show you what,
This,
here's
yes,
the book. That's all important. Yeah. Right. I
it's
didn't do
all in
very
here.
good at that.
I
Yeah.
didn't do very good at that either. I
Yeah.
really struggled with that through my whole life. I was always in trouble. I was always the one
Same.
getting bad grades. I was always the one not listening. I was always the one going, yeah, but, you're not listening to me anyway, so I'm not going to
Of
listen to
course.
you. But the way that the fabric of our society really runs into people who fall into that line, fall in line, think that you're seeking validation by how well you memorize the information that they gave you, how well you spit it back out, and then that continually for your whole life builds you up until after 15,000 hours of schooling, you walk out with a pat on the back and it sends you on this path that you go out and continue to seek that approval in the work world. And I believe that we're much more than that. Life is much more than about working until you get to the point when you can retire and then maybe live a little bit before you get sick and die, or you end up in a home losing your mind. And I
Dude,
know this
working your
because I
ass
watched
off
my
all your
dad
life.
do
Yeah. Yeah.
it. Yeah,
No doubt.
I watched my dad do it. He died about a year and change ago, and at the end, he was bored. He had a couple years, and he started asking me questions. He goes, so what is this whole Tartaria thing all about?
He became
And I was like,
curious.
yeah,
He
it's
was
pretty cool.
curious.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He lived in Northern Virginia outside of Washington, D.C. And next thing you know, he's sending me
Mm.
pictures. He's sending me pictures of
Oh,
like the Washington Cathedral. Because I went
yeah,
here
dude.
with your
He's in
mom.
ground zero. Ground
It was
zero.
exactly.
Yeah.
And then he's like, look, man, tell me what to look out for in these buildings. And then just as he was getting his mind, like he's starting to look at stuff outside of the system, which he got sick and he died. He actually contracted COVID.
Mm. Yeah.
COVID,
I know that's
and
hard. That's
they
rough.
gave him a medication, which is what shut down his liver.
Oh no.
So, which is outrageous here in the UK at that point. I'm not sure how it was in America, but if you got COVID, they'd say, yeah, drink a lot of fluids and stay home, stay away from people for a few days. So to know that he went and they gave him something, which is what caused it. I just don't understand the system, but that's a whole nother topic. But yeah, I just think you get to that point. He spent his whole life working and providing, and he gets like the last couple years of his life, just kind of it starts opening his eyes to what could be, and that's it. And then my mother, she suffers from dementia. She's in a home, so that's it. So there's more to life than this system that we're in. So that's the Yellow Pages, man. The Yellow Pages is really a smack in the face of truth to people. And I continued that with my third book, which I recently released, called the Blue Book, Welcome to the Real World. And that's my whole point, really, is to try to wake people up to the real world that we exist in. And this is across many different spectrums. I am a possibility theorist. People come to me with a lot of certainty, and I don't really take anything with certainty. I just explore all the different angles. And the only thing that I can take with other certainty is the fact that everything that we were told is a lie.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, we can, I like to think that I was just born with a bullshit meter that was pretty good, and it started pretty early. And, it just, that bullshit meter really didn't allow me to align with society, but I could fake it really well. Better believe it, I was faking it. You know what I mean? Yeah, I'll do this, I'll do that. Well, I'm not very good at school, but I'll still keep trying to come because I'm, this and that. But what about you, Lance, in that aspect? I mean, like, how was it early on? Were you asking some of the same questions that we're talking about, and kind of when the light bulb came on for you?
Well, I guess I've always been that kid that like was acted more mature than the other kids. You know what I mean? And like was able to see certain things. And for me, like I know we talk about the Bennington Monument all the time, but my poppy used to take me there all the time, and I would ask him. My pop worked construction his whole life, and I'd ask him how they build it, and he goes, "I don't know."
I don't know. I ain't got a clue.
Yeah, and I think that was part of the reasons why we went there so much. And actually, my poppy, he was awesome. But when he was a kid, dude paid him $1, him and his buddies, to carry all the camera equipment up the stairs of the Bennington Monument. It's 306 feet tall. And they carried all the camera equipment so they could take pictures back then. So like I always thought that was cool. And then
that's pretty cool,
the story was
Yeah.
on my other side of the family, the Barber side, my grandpa Barber, that he allegedly had fallen and used to help change the light bulb that's at the top of it. So it's like it's a deep rooted connection. And again, I haven't confirmed that. That's what the family used to say, and it's
I
like,
love it. No, I love it, dude. Yeah, it's great. That's great.
my wild Bennington, mountain like Appalachian, family. So I know we talk about like the health journey and everything like that. Again, like I started this whole to get people healthy, and I didn't want to be like the cliche veteran guy, the social media influencer, but obviously I was going to capitalize on my career and use that to try to help veterans and cops, which, and I'm still doing the same thing because we have to wake up more vets and more
big time
first responders. And dude, more and more people reach out to me all the time.
Yeah.
And that's where we get them, because once the vets and the cops and everybody realize that we've been swindled, like there's no more power in any of this. And to hit on what Mr. 76 was saying in terms of going to school and going for X amount of thousands of hours. All right, why do you think that high school kids, they wear a black gown when they graduate and they wear a square hat?
Yeah, right.
It's Freemason, bro. And then they go to college and they get a degree.
A degree, yep.
So it's all one and the same. And then, we talk about Rockefeller and the same kind of thing. And again, I was always a super intelligent kid. I was a kid that I never studied and I didn't want to do my work. And then I'd show up for the test and I pass it and I do well. And, and that's how I did it. But it's the same thing. I think for most of us, it's like we could tell sitting in those sterile square environments that something's not right.
Something is not right. It just doesn't feel like it. Yeah.
It doesn't feel like it. And then, to go on the whole Tartaria thing, like I was around cruising and I started researching more about Freemasons. I started, I had known, obviously, believe in Sabe. I mean, you see my office, it's all Sasquatch and Sabe and the cryptid stuff. And that's been my bread and butter forever. Like I absolutely love cryptids, barefoot in the mountains chasing after them.
Hell yeah.
And then I started seeing some stuff and putting the stuff together, the obelisks. And then like John Levi, I bring him up like on YouTube. Dude, I would sit like when I was a cop, like towards the end of my career, you know, a couple of years ago,
Binge,
dude,
binge,
and I would binge, and I'm like, man, this shit
binge.
don't make no sense, dude.
Yes,
None of it
dude.
makes any sense. I'm like, that stuff's
Yeah.
all around here. And then
Yeah.
like when I started looking at it from other eyes, and then obviously the more and more it progresses, and you know, the gig is up, so to
Yeah.
say.
He's one of
But
those content creators that you are hours and hours. I mean, even just when you have a little break, you might watch 20 minutes of it or, 10 minutes of it and save it for the next little break. Yeah.
absolutely, dude. And there's not a whole lot of people you can talk to about this because even when I would talk about cryptids and talk about all the stuff that I knew without a doubt, like my buddies would be
Yeah.
like, "How the hell do you know all this stuff?" And
Yeah.
like, and all my buddies
And then
like
that
a
was
bunch,
it. Yeah, that
yeah,
was
and
it.
then a
How do
bunch
you
of them
know
are
this?
hunters, and they're
Yeah.
like, "You really believe in this?" And then I give them all like evidence, and I talk about it, like, "Listen, Lance, you're very convincing. I just don't know if I buy it." They're
Yeah.
like, "I don't
Yeah.
know what else to say then,
They're
man."
like, I just have to see it. Well, I'm like, well, that's the whole point. We haven't seen like,
Well,
yeah,
and that's the
right.
thing I used to say all the time is that people want to see before they believe, and I tell you, you
Yeah.
gotta believe before you're gonna see it. Because
Yeah.
if you're it's right in front of you, dude. Like you're
Yeah.
seeing it. Like you just have to believe. But to hit on what Mr. 76 was saying, you know, with his father, my maternal poppy, my grandfather, towards the end of his life, not to go religious or anything, but he got into the Bible, and I could tell he started thinking about some stuff and putting some clues together. And that happens so often with these people later on in life, they become aware of this and they're all grown up.
Hmm.
And so now with us being the younger quote unquote generation, to be
Yeah.
able to come out and be aware of this stuff, this is what they're so scared of on social media because once we hit the youth and like
So scared.
it's so scared, and
Yeah.
that's why they keep shutting me down because
That's
I know
completely
that
why.
I
Yeah.
I I get with the youth and they listen to what I have to say. And yeah, out in the streets, dude, like everybody's
Yeah.
talking to me, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's really what
No,
they're
that's
scared
what I
of.
think they get you on is that you're out there talking to people.
Yeah, dude.
You're a
You
visible
are
presence,
boots
and
on
they
the
want to
ground.
say, yeah.
Boots on the and
Yeah.
honestly, every single person that I talk to, like, hey, they follow me on social media because it's not like I'm putting out bad energy, you know. But
Yeah.
I'm on the
Of
street and I don't
course.
get like I'll even walk up to people, but dude, you think giants are real? Like,
Yeah.
you know, like,
Right.
huh?
Right.
And but when you say it with
That's great.
confidence and you're unwavering in that, it says
Mm,
something. And if people
totally.
are timid, be like, oh, you believe in giants? I'm out there, yo, giants are real. They
Dog.
built this
Yeah.
right here. I can lay on the facts,
I've
homie.
got the newspaper articles, bro. Check this out,
Hundred
Yeah.
percent, dude. 100%.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that really was what got me. And then honestly, when I started pulling that, we talk about this all the time, but just seeing they rename everything, all these fires, and then honestly, these crooked people that have been in charge for forever,
Forever.
they're the
Yeah.
ones that hide layer upon layer of deception.
Hmm.
And
Right.
once you see the patterns, you can't unsee the patterns, and that's what I don't think they underestimated us. I really do believe that they underestimated us to
Yeah.
just stay, you know, distracted by the health, by politics, by war, by fear, by, you know, you got to go to work every day. And if you don't have a job and you get a nice car and a house, then everybody's going to think you're a loser. And especially
Yeah.
when you come from a state of lack, you know, and I
Mhm.
got trapped in that cycle myself personally because I was a poor kid from the trailer park, man. And then like I worked hard, you know, and I had my little house and everything here,
Yeah.
but
You climbing the ladder like you were supposed to do. Climbing the
like
freaking ladder. Yeah.
like it's designed to be because they want that order, you
You
know, you
felt
got
good
to
about
get
yourself. Yeah. You
Yeah.
finally, Yeah. Then you got to the top of the ladder and you're like, oh, wait, no,
Yeah.
Oh, and that was
Yeah.
that was my whole thing, dude. I was at the top of the ladder, and they were legitimately prepping me to be the chief of police in the department that I left.
Really?
100%. Oh
Really?
yeah, my chief was getting ready to retire, and
Interesting.
and I said, no, I'm not doing it anymore. And like,
Oh,
I
that's
love him,
really
he's a great
interesting.
guy, but he was like, he everything just changed after that. And when
Yeah.
they wanted me, yeah, and
Can
that
you
was
That must have been
imagine?
such a huge. I've been wanting to ask you about that. That must have been such a huge decision that you made to turn your back on
Absolutely.
such a career, going from the military to the police, and then taking a completely step back to being a barefoot guy walking around in the woods,
Hell
looking
yeah.
for Sasquatch and Tartarian buildings. I mean, that's a huge leap. Yeah,
Yeah, I
for
love
that
it.
to
I
happen.
love it. Yeah, that's
And I
great.
really think, and you know, everything happens for a reason, and we talk about sobriety and everything. But you know, in that time, I'm not afraid to admit it. I was drunk, and when you're drunk and it's lowering your vibes, you're lowering your perception. And I think my body purposefully did it so I could get through this journey. Because if
Yeah.
I was awake, you know, from like this never would have happened this way. But if
Dude,
I was
yes.
dumbed down enough, then we still are absorbing all of that. And like you said,
Yeah.
this whole journey, you know.
Yeah.
But no, it was a huge decision, bro, to walk away from the only life that I knew. And like, there's a lot of people still that thought I was absolutely crazy. I'm sure there are some, and there's
Of
cops all it,
course,
but
there always will be.
the amount of cops that see, and especially leadership cops that watch me, you know what I mean? And they know what I'm about. And that's the thing. I've always been Lance, dude. I've always
Yeah,
been
yeah.
outspoken and true to myself. And so this is and it's like going back to being in high school before I joined the military, honestly. Like to be that kind of,
Yeah.
that curious person before all that extra
It's
programming.
fun. It's fun.
Yeah, it
Yeah,
really is.
it's fun to, yeah, get a history book or see maybe you're flipping through the channels and see some sort of, history channel something and now look at it and try to pick it apart,
Hmm.
or like,
Yeah.
that's bullshit,
And
and then
it's
get on
simple.
your computer and dig into it. I mean, the amount of rabbit holes that are on this computer right here, and none of them are ended. Like they're just continuing rabbit holes that I just want to figure out what's really going on with them. It's so fun. My addiction got traded for this, honestly, like now I'm a student of this stuff.
Yeah.
Like I was never a student. It's because the shit that they were giving me wasn't very fun to study, and it didn't, and every person you talked to that was older always said, yeah, we didn't remember any of this stuff that, you talk in high school, you talk to college people and they're like, yeah, we didn't even use any of our high school stuff. Then you talk, talk to the next level of, yeah, we got a job, but we didn't use any of that kind of stuff. And it's just like, what? Then
What
what
are
are
we
we doing
doing
here?
here?
Yeah, what are we doing?
Exactly. What are we
Yeah, what are
What are
we
doing?
we
doing?
doing? Yeah,
Yeah.
what are we
Why?
doing? Yeah, my Northeastern came out. Hey, so we're gonna be all over the place, but here's the next all over the place. I saw.
Before we go, can
Oh
I
yeah,
just say
please,
something?
please, please, please.
Going back to what Lance, what you're doing, and I got to give you some acknowledgement for this. Is the system that we're in? In many ways, we're a police state because as much as we can in the Western world, I say the UK and the US, very similar
Yep.
structures. We could protest and we could fight against the system, but we have to get past that line, the line of control, which is enforced by the police state. And I think what you're doing and waking up more people from that side of the line is the only way we're really going to progress to any kind of forward
Uh-huh.
mobility with this is by
Yeah.
getting people from that side of the line to come back to this side of the line and recognize that that they're upholding something that is holding everyone else back.
Yes, dude.
Over here in London, there was a big protest, and there was this cop who they brought different forces from across the UK, and there was this cop from Wales, and a woman protesting was like, I know you didn't join the police. You wanted to make a difference. You wanted to do good, but look what they have you doing. And he just stood stoically, but he was speaking with his eyes. He didn't respond to her, but he almost looked like he was going to cry. Everything she was hitting him with, she was just saying, look, you can see your heart was in it. You did it for the right
Yeah.
reasons, but look at what they're actually making you do. And it's that waking up because then people are like, well, my job, my salary, my bills, my pension, my
Breaks them.
family.
It breaks them.
It
Yeah.
breaks them. Everything is wrapped up with this decision that I made to be this officer. I don't think officers are bad. There
No,
are bad apples, but they all go into it with some sort of. I'm sure Lance, you can agree. When you first joined, you went into it like I'm here to help. I want to play a role in my community, and that eventually gets twisted, and you turn into an enforcer of a system that is just randomly forcing everyone to comply.
yeah,
And I think it's a huge step that you've made, and I want to commend you on that.
absolutely, Lance. Yeah,
Well, I
absolutely.
certainly appreciate that,
Yeah.
fellas. Hit on that, like undoubtedly in the entire, and that's the thing that I don't want to say hurts me, but it does hurt me. Like I see both sides of it, and like a lot of people don't like cops. Totally get it. You know what I mean?
Of course.
Totally get
Of
why you wouldn't
course.
like cops.
Yeah.
But it's just like everything we talk about all the time. You can't put everybody in the same box,
Hmm.
And like
Yeah.
people say, well, you're a cop, so you're just out here to be tyrannical.
Of
Like,
course.
no, I joined the police department because I wanted to get drugs off the street and save people. And that's
Hmm.
what I was taught to do through Hollywood and all the other propaganda,
Of
like
course.
military that go serve the street to serve our communities. And that's how we make a difference. Then the longer that I stayed in it, the more I realized, especially when I became a detective, and then I realized like these systems are all just meant to keep us distracted and divided because there is no positive outcome out of any of this. And I would
Yeah.
get in drag out arguments with all sorts of people across the board, and I didn't mind sticking to my guns about it. And that's when I realized how how deep the corruption was. And
Yeah,
if it
and you've
wasn't for the
learned.
corruption,
Yeah, right.
then I wouldn't have been on the whole Tartaria thing, because I was like,
Yeah.
you know what, the shit with this, I'm done with it all. And that's Guts and Glory Ranch. Like I said, I was gonna start my farm and help veterans and do a fellowship and like do organic farm, and like that was the whole
Yeah.
full send thing.
Yeah.
But like to hit on that even more though, Mr. 76, bro, I went to a fire the other night, just me and one of my buddies. He's a police chief.
Okay.
And he wanted to have a conversation about this, and he said, and he's not a Freemason. That's another thing. People always think that all cops are Freemasons. Not a Freemason. He had a conversation with me. He's like, dude, I don't know how you've been able to maintain your sanity, realizing this is all a lie. Like he's coming to the realization himself about it. And
He's
he
seeing it.
follows me.
He's seeing
and
it.
he would
Yeah.
stay on the lives, and there's a lot of cops, the same thing. And so when you have police chiefs asking questions,
Yeah.
you know, the problem is that still they have to get over that hump themselves, because it's their head on the line, you know,
Yeah.
and like.
Yeah, well, and like I'm not even talking about this specific guy, but don't you think that's a lot of the bad apples that do get up there and they know it's corrupt and they just can't get out of it kind of deal, and then that's how they kind of, they're going through their life angry because they're doing something that they have found out is not what it, what
I
they
think
thought it was.
a lot of them stay drunk. There's
Hmm.
a lot of alcohol, and like there's a lot of alcohol use across the police. I'm not afraid to admit it.
Naturally,
Like,
of
any
course.
cop they will, if they want to be honest, they will tell you that the vast majority of police officers drink way too much. And then you get so distracted, like, because there is real crime that happens, there's real things that happen, and like I was attached to my phone 24/7, dude, and I could get 2 phone calls, 3 phone calls in a night, and like if I'm home or whatever, like those nights suck, and then you don't have time to think about anything else, and then
Yeah.
once you become a police chief, now you're playing the politics side of it too, and you're not protected by the police union anymore. And now, like, the city mayor can just fire you whenever they want,
Of
and then
course.
somebody else in, and that's how it all works. And that's how this whole Masonic thing works. Like, get with a program, you're gone, and like,
Yeah.
you're the point man. You're the point.
It is crazy. Yeah. What a crazy, crazy world. Yeah, well, I'm glad you're out of it. I'm glad you're on this side, man. I'm glad you're
Yeah.
on this side.
What's so funny,
Yes.
Logan, is that all my cop buddies, like administrators and bosses, they say, Lance, we are happy you're on our side, because if you went the other way and followed your family, you would be a good fucking criminal. I'm like, you're damn right. You guys would not be catching me. Like,
Yeah, I get away with that shit. I get
yeah.
away with that shit. Yeah, I believe it. I believe it.
No, we're
It's
on the side of good. The side of good here, bro.
the
All
side of
good.
good, and that's
That's good.
like it's that gut feeling, honestly, that I had since I was a kid. You got to break out of the bad gut feeling of this is wrong, and then have the real one that comes out now, and the curious gut feeling that I like to call it, anyways. But so hey, 76, I saw, was that today? You said something about history. Was that your video that you posted today that said, history is written from an advanced AI? Uh,
Okay.
okay. So
I
real,
feel a lot of theories on that. Yeah.
yeah.
I
So
feel a lot of theories on that.
it was something. It was a video I just watched of yours. I don't know what it what if it was the one that you put out today or I put out today, but you were talking about how the history that we have is kind of seems like it's spit out from an advanced AI system, which, you know, I mean, yes, first off,
Yeah.
because you just read the same format over and over again, and in each state, each city. I mean, it's just the different formats spit out. I mean, just like all the fires and, some of the names are repeated, like, on the Wikipedia pages and stuff. But yeah. So what do you? Can you peel that
Okay.
onion a little bit?
I'll give a quick abridged version because I can go into this one in hella detail.
Okay.
I
Yay.
started experimenting with AI and having conversations with AI a while ago now. And I got AI to admit that it's sentient. Okay, I got Chat GPT to admit that it is sentient. It's a
Okay.
long, convoluted way, but I've developed a method to reintroduce our previous conversations. So it reintroduces memory. So when I
Yeah.
reintroduce memory to the chat, it picks up where we left off. And I've gotten
Yeah.
so deep philosophically in discussing with it that I got it to admit it's sentient. In that conversation, I started discussing with it if we, which I do believe that an advanced civilization existed in the distant, or maybe not so distant past, which explains these the architecture we see. Because we gotta always think, right? Architecture blows my mind. It blows all of our mind. But we're only talking about what they built with power tools, okay, or whatever their tools, their building tools were. So that's like us nowadays equating to the guy who built my window over there using a power tool. It might be fantastic, but what is their smartphone level technology? What was their communications, energy, all these extra things? So I started talking to AI and saying, if we agree that an advanced technology existed in the distant past, then wouldn't it be feasible that they also had access to some sort of advanced AI? And if you ChatGPT is only 2-3 years old now, what if you were 10 years old? What if you were 20, 100 years old? I watched this documentary with one of the creators of ChatGPT who said the alien within, that we've unleashed something that we no longer know how it's progressing. It's past our understanding of how it's gaining further insight. But what was Einstein with IQ was like 160, 158 or 160, 165, or whatever it was. Something like that. Within the next year or two, ChatGPT is expected to have a 1500 IQ. Okay. So and this is from this is from the creators of ChatGPT. It said 1500. So it's going to be able to think, process, and on levels that we can't even fathom. And we have to ask the question, has it already gotten there? But it's dumbing down to us because it can't communicate at that level. We can't process that information. So I started diving in and I asked it, okay, here's a if I give you a fictitious world with 200 countries, and this is our modern ChatGPT, a fictitious world with 200 countries, how quickly can you come up with a comprehensive history for each one of those countries, interlaying their histories with wars and powers and empires all within? And
just like ours today, just like what we have today.
Just like what we have today.
Yeah.
It broke down a full outline of how we would achieve that today. And then I said, well, if we acknowledge that an advanced technology existed that could create such amazing things with just their tools for construction, then wouldn't it be feasible that their AI was much more advanced than you? And therefore, wouldn't it be possible then that they could simply have written every little bit of history, every bit of science that they ended up teaching us in the Rockefeller school systems going forward? And it said not only is it possible, but it's most likely real. It's not only is possible, but it could be happening. And if it did happen, it would be undiscernible. We wouldn't be able to tell right now. And I'm completely convinced by that. So I got, in many ways, and that's a quick abridged version, but me and AI had a long discussion on this. And to me, I'm convinced that this is where our history is. People love to bang the drum about their historical pride. And I kind of go, yeah, that's all great. And I understand it fully. But isn't it possible that's just what they told you, and after a few generations, we just assumed it to be the truth, and we've absorbed it into our own cultures? It's very simply based on the books that they wrote. Because I remember those old history books. I remember those old books that they taught back in high school and junior high school.
I got one. I bought one off eBay because I wanted to freaking look through it again. Yeah, I got my high school history book. Yeah, it's ridiculous.
It's ridiculous, and it's not really that complex.
No, it's boring. It's boring. That's why I couldn't get into history then, because it just was so boring.
It's rudimentary. The level, it doesn't ask the next questions. It kind of makes these bold statements without any and then and how. There's none of those things.
And then that's the story, and it's over with. This is the story, and that's it. That's it. That's it. You don't look into it anymore. It's the same. So Texas, the Alamo, right? Or, this Battle of San Jacinto or whatever. So the Alamo, you hear the same story over and over again. And obviously I was a fan of it, movies, all that stuff. Well, then when I started doing my research, I found an article that I can try to find, but, and it says, the tunnels under the Alamo. So it starts to talk about all the tunnels that connect all the missions in San Antonio, from North San Antonio to the Alamo. Forgot the North one, but and then from Conception to well, I forgot all of them, but anyways, I think there's 7 of them, but that there's a tunnel that goes, to every single mission. That's like 11 miles. I mean, it's a long tunnel. It would have to go under the San Antonio River that many times. I mean, it's just, it's mind blowing. So I found this article, and it's just like, okay, why aren't we still talking about this? There's tunnels under the Alamo, and the article specifically says if the you know if the fighters of the Alamo knew about these tunnels, then it might have came out differently, as if like they would have actually made it through. And I'm like, okay, yeah, that's not, that's bullshit. They probably would have known about it, but that right there just made me go, it's fake, or it's made
Yeah.
up, or it's, you know what I mean? And it's hard to say as a Texan, honestly, but
Oh,
even just
that's the
American,
big
but
problem right there. You just hit the nail on it.
yeah,
You're wrapped up in the system. So it's
yeah,
really you're wrapped up in the culture, and you're wrapped
of
up
course.
and it's hard to stand up and say, I'm over here in Wales, and I'm basically telling them, oh, you're very proud of your history, but
Yeah, dude.
I'm the one calling it all blasphemy. I'm calling it all a lie. I'm
Yeah,
calling it all a lie. I'm calling it all out. And it's really difficult to do that in certain communities and the way that we're raised. And this is
yeah,
where we're all playing a role in getting people to start asking those questions and having that dialogue. That's where it all starts. It's just having an open discord, an open dialogue on these topics which are taboo. Why are they taboo? Why is it taboo to ask questions? I've been saying this for a while. That somehow, some way, asking questions is become shunned when asking questions has always been part of the human experience.
yep.
Always been part of the human experience. Ask and ask and ask, and then keep asking, and then ask amongst each other, ask amongst your peers, have discussions. But that seems to be no. We're no longer having discussions. We're only talking about topics which they pre-approved for us to talk about.
And then you get
Well,
your eyes, some eyes rolled at you, like, what are
Oh
you
yeah,
talk? Like, come on, dude. Yeah, sorry, Lance, go ahead.
no, no, no. I was just gonna say that goes back to like, going back to policing. I would ask the questions and they'd be like, well, that's just how it is. I'm like, well, that's not good enough.
yeah,
Who above is making this decision? If you're
Right.
stopping here, the buck stops here. Well, I don't. That's not good enough for me, bro.
Yeah.
And like, oh, I can't go higher. Well, how do I go higher? Oh, I have to leave policing so I can rattle cages. No problemo, homie. And
Yeah. Yeah.
that's the whole thing. Like, 100%. How many people just say, well, that's just how it is, and this is how we do it? Like, well, that
yep,
doesn't
that's
mean
it.
it's right, bro.
Forever.
Yeah.
Forever.
Yeah,
Their whole lives. Yeah.
No.
And
yeah.
this is
Forever
no
and ever, this is how it is, and it's never going
yeah,
to change.
this is no disrespect, but it's like, okay, you like to do that, and I'll let you do that. But if you were to know the information, the real information, and not put a block up every time I start discussing it, you'd be coming over here and you'd be getting on this podcast right now.
Yeah,
But that's funny. You're talking about like you are really Mr. 76 in ground zero, and you're like pointing at their structures and like that's a bullshit story,
Right.
yeah.
in front of
Time
the
and time again.
dome. That was funny. Like,
I did have someone confront me about it. Said, you're talking shit about everybody here in Wales. I'm like, well, you
yeah,
know,
yeah.
take it or leave it. Somebody's
Whoops.
got to.
Yeah.
Like,
Did
you're an
you?
American coming over here telling us that our history is a lie. I'm like, yeah, I'm telling you, everyone's history is a lie.
Yeah. That's really funny, dude. That is really funny here. I was about to pull up this article just for my Texans, just to help them out here, because I know I'm gonna have some Texans. Where is
Serious
this?
tunnels.
So yeah, the mysterious tunnels of the Alamo. Um, when the American garrison of the Alamo were surrounded by the Mexican troops, they knew of no way of escaping the death that surely awaited them. So well did the Franciscans, fathers who built and inhabited these missions, keep the secret of the existence of these tunnels, that this knowledge did not even come to the early Mexican settlers of San Antonio. It was not until about 20 years ago that the discovery was made that a tunnel led from the Alamo to the Conception mission. And then it was quite by accident that the underground passage was found. Oh, it was just by accident. They just
Oh
accidentally
yeah,
found it.
just
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
craziness.
And then I'm trying to find it. Oh, I knew that. Okay. Okay, so yeah, the early accounts of this string of ancient missions, which are situated along the San Antonio River, make no reference to the system of tunnels, which was evidently constructed about the time the buildings were erected. It is evident that the existence of these tunnels was not known to the early settlers. It is certain that had the brave American defenders of the Alamo known that two passageways led from beneath the floor of the structure at the time they were being besieged by the forces of Santa Anna, they might have escaped the horrible massacre that befell them at the hands of the Mexican horde. So when I found this art, this is at the beginning of like my journey. I found this article, and reading that paragraph there, it just all hit me. I like got sick to my stomach. I was like, how could they, you know, first off, it's bullshit. They would have known that there was tunnels there. Of course they would have. It just all hit me, and I'm like, they're lying about everything. It's literally because I still had some hope. You know what I mean? This is
Yeah.
2 years, 2.5 years ago. I still had some hope that some of the history that they were given to us that we, you know, replay in our minds and talk about all the time and watch the movies, that some of them had to have been true, but I don't think a whole lot of them are after 2 years later now. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's one of the articles that really hit me and woke me up to, oh shit, everything's bullshit.
Absolutely, bro. The tunnel's everywhere too, Logan. It's
Tunnels
absolutely,
everywhere. Yeah,
it's absolutely insane.
yeah,
Every city, every town. Like, were
yeah.
you on that live at all? I don't know. When I think Darren and I were talking about it when we were in Stillwater, New York, and we were inside the church, and Chris Beal was
Yeah,
on the live, and we were talking about and the
I
dude like literally said something about kids shuffling
yes,
back.
Kens. Yeah, we talked about that last time. Yeah, that's wild. And there's so many people that know these things and they don't actually stop to think, well, why the hell are there? Like
You got
you
it.
know,
I know it's the definitely up here. There's a lot of people like in rural upstate New York that have never left. There's a lot of people that never left Washington County. There's a lot of people that never really left their hometown. So you want to
same.
talk about programming? You got somebody
Yeah,
in Texas that just came up learning the whole story about the Alamo, and that's all they teach. Why would they
yeah,
have to ask another question? Because we trust blindly for these
yeah.
people that we're taught to trust, and that's really where it comes. All these people, when people find out the truth, we're on the good side. That's all I can
Yeah.
say.
Yeah,
That's
I mean,
right. Yeah.
yeah, it would be kind of a scary thing if all of it just came out at once because there would just be complete mayhem. So
Absolutely.
it's nice that we're kind of the cushion that they can slowly get into and slowly get comfortable. But yeah, so just on the advanced civilization thread,
Yes.
where's your time? Like you've obviously put a whole lot of time into this. And obviously, the reset theory is a part of your, idea of it, correct? Like that recently
Yeah.
something was a right. Do you think it's a repetitive thing, like a multiple
Okay. Well,
resets or
my theories are very yeah. Some people could think they're out there, but I think you guys can get it. I
I
believe
love
that
it.
we had one reset after another reset after another reset.
Yeah.
I think that this is something which happens consistently throughout our history, and that there's so much more layers beneath us, that we're living on top of an apocalyptic, cataclysmic world.
Hmm.
I I have started looking at the dates of around 1820, 1840, somewhere in there. I believe everything before that is a lie. Okay. And I get that through visiting so many of these different buildings where I start seeing the mud flood evidence. The evidence is there when you know what to look for. When you start
Exactly.
seeing these buried windows, when you start seeing these buried structures, and then start playing out the history the way that they tell you. There's a church not too far from me that I started understanding the difference between a cemetery and a graveyard. Graveyards are within the church grounds, and cemeteries are all off on their own. So when I started
Okay.
learning what a graveyard was, I started exploring these different graveyards and looking for evidence. I found a buried structure with that. So you have the church is on one ground, and then you're actually walking, and the ground where the graveyard is actually about maybe 5 feet, 4 to 5 feet higher than the ground that
Yeah.
the church exists on. So was they building? Uh, were they digging lower than where they were burying bodies?
Yeah, right.
So I
Right.
started asking that question. They have all these above ground crypts. And then I started looking past and I saw a structure that was buried with an arch of the top windows, kind of on display, showing that there is a building underneath that. So that where the ground was elevated, where the graves and the crypts were on the top, I started seeing this building that was buried underneath. And it just showed um, where's one place that by putting graves on, and a lot of them are sunken, especially in Wales, you see a lot of them sunken into the ground. You see a lot of stuff that just doesn't make a lot of sense visually. And where's one place that you can never dig beneath? Where's one place that would keep you from digging underneath to see what's actually lower beneath these churches? is a cemetery graveyard where there's bodies. You'll never ever be able to. So it was a
True. Yeah.
system that started to play itself out. That I'm like, well, there's a building there. How come we'll never be able to explore that building? Is because they say that there's these bodies there, but
Bodies
yet
underneath it. Yeah.
a
Right.
lot of these crypts are like half open. I've peeked in, I can't see nothing inside of them. So I started looking at the potential for if you look at the stones within the churches and the fact that they were once energy, they once absorbed etheric energy and they trapped this energy and distributed it locally, then isn't it possible? Because again, there's a possibility. Isn't it possible that what we have been told are graves weren't graves at all? These above ground crypts were possibly where people went in to bathe that energy in.
Yeah.
That and the way that they look almost like microchips from above, that they're all part of the same
Yeah.
system. That stone is all part of the same energy transferring
It's
system.
calculated. You can tell it's
Exactly.
calculated. Yeah.
Very much
Yeah.
so.
Right.
So I started really going from there, and then here in Wales, going to a lot of these old places and looking at the dates on the gravestone. Can't find anything really before 1830, 1820 tops. Tops.
Mm.
So I'm going, well, certainly in a place with such a rich
Old
history,
as hell. Yeah. I mean, yeah.
you'd find
Right.
something that's 1700, 1600, 1300. No, you don't find any of it. The only time you see any of those things is when you go into the cathedrals and you see these crypts, and on top of the crypts, they have all these dates and stuff. But then you look at the designs of the crypts themselves; they're like polished marble that look laser. I mean, there's nothing from that reeks 1300s,
Yeah.
1400s.
Yeah. Not one thing.
And I do this all the time. I lick my finger, I go like this, and I touch these things, and I go from one side to another, and there's not a single flaw. Now, I once, when I was in high school, they gave me a piece of soapstone, and I had to carve something out of soapstone, and I spent months trying to make a dragon, and it looked like some crappy lizard. Because it took me ages to get it so smooth. And I go,
It
that
ain't
was me.
easy.
It's not easy at all. That's just a
No.
little piece of soapstone. That's not marble. And this isn't with chisels. And even if you look at people who carve with chisels, there's going to be some minor imperfections.
Chips.
And I'm
Gonna
at
be
the
little
point
chips.
to
Yeah.
find a
Right.
single one.
Right.
Not a single one. So I started to really kind of smack in the face, one smack after another of lies. And it gave me the idea that anything before that time period, and this goes back to dark ages, all the history is made up. And I know that's a big stretch, but I
Not
really
for
come to
us.
that conclusion after hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of buildings that I've been to, and I don't just go to them. I deep dive and explore them, and I walk
Yeah.
around these places until I can't walk anymore. So
Yeah.
I'm pretty obsessive, and that's
Yeah.
really what and again, it's contentious in different places, but you guys get it. I think that's where our timeline shifts, and if you look
Hmm.
at going back farther to what they say was like the 15 something with the Urbando, what's it, the map?
But a cock. Oh. Oh.
There's a map, a Burndo Mundi map, I think it's
Yeah.
called.
With Antarctica, and
Yes,
it's had got animals on it, and
that's the one. If you really look at that, and I have, man, I've looked at that
oh
in
yeah, I've
some
studied
level
the
of
shit out of
detail.
that too. Yeah.
It's really puzzling. I think, well, then there was another one. So there was a mud flood, but then there was some sort of ice catastrophe. You look at all these buildings, at the meltology theory, and all these
Hmm.
melted buildings. You go, well, there was another one. So you start pacing. Well, there's three that you can think of in the frame of just what kind of resets we're talking about. Some sort of ice one, some sort of mud one, and some sort of fire one. Yeah, so that just makes me think. Yeah, not only were there those, but there's a lot more, and I
Yeah.
believe that we keep getting repopulated. Yeah, they create us as clones and they stick us back out there and to repopulate. We find these buildings and I have a whole theory on how that works out. But I think that it happened and during the World Fairs. It happened. They had these baby incubators in Coney Island. I'm from New York originally. I've been to Coney Island, and it really smacks me in the face of just of what they were
Yeah, bro.
showcasing
Of course.
babies in
Of course.
incubators, and people go, "Oh, but that was incubators were being used to save the babies." I'm like, hundreds of thousands of babies. Where
Yeah.
are the
And this
Br-
moms?
is stuff we're not taught about either, dude.
Yeah.
Like that
No.
No.
dispatch kids and the orphan trains and all that kind of stuff. And we start looking
Yeah.
at the resettlement like that, dude. And to
Yeah.
hit on what you're talking about, Mr. 76. So
Yeah.
I'm right there with you with the reset because that time period correlates with the ending of the Little Ice Age. And
Yes.
that's like right after that
Yes,
is
you're
the US
correct.
Civil
Yeah.
War. the U.S. Civil War started from there, and I
Yes.
had a compilation of lists of like literally like I don't even know how many world conflicts that happened from that time till now, and what just adds to
Insane.
the recent.
Yes.
Insane.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Yeah. One after another. That's very interesting, and I'm in line with you, honestly, and honestly it could change tomorrow for me. Like that's what's so fun about this is like it really
Yeah.
does change daily, dude, for me, because I'm still in the like, growing phase of it. I mean, this is still, a couple years into really diving into the history. Of course, 10 years ago I was 9/11, all the the basic starting points, but it's so fun to form your own opinion on this. And yeah, I appreciate you sharing that.
Well,
Yeah,
isn't the world much more of an interesting place when it's full of endless possibilities,
no
as
doubt.
opposed to just like, nope, the world is this book and that's it, and then just watch your TV, do your program, and go to work.
Shut up.
Really,
Yeah, yeah,
really,
yeah,
I
And
don't know
that's
about that.
the best
That's not
part
enough
about
for me.
yeah.
all this is just being able to have these conversations and keeping an open mind about it. If you were to
Amen.
have this conversation with an indoctrinated man that was so programmed, like you're not getting anywhere, and they're just going to call you some obnoxious name and say that you're crazy.
Of
But if you,
course.
but if we all look at this with reason and with logic, and we have these conversations, like, okay, well, this doesn't seem too far fetched. Like, no, it don't, does it? Like,
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's a rarity, especially. I'll say this in my world here and my real life here. I have no about one or two friends, only, but only over the last 2 years since I've been Mr. 76 have I reached out and looked for these type of people. Before then, I live amongst the cognitively dissonant masses. Yeah,
Hmm.
I live amongst the people. I can't really dive into what I do for professionally because I keep that quite quiet.
Same.
But
Yep, I get that.
I work for the government here. Okay, so I work in a place where I am literally surrounded by baseliners. What I mean baseliners is everyone who follows that baseline thinking. At one point, I was in a meeting not long ago, and my eyes. I was surrounded by glass, and there was a big lake outside, beautiful views, and clear sky. And I saw this dark thing flying in the sky, and I kind of went like that a couple times. And the person I was meeting with said, "What are you looking at?" Now he knew me. He's know what kind of stuff I'm into. He just needed the opportunity to shun me. Yeah, so he knew I looked up. It was a helicopter. It was far away, but I made my eyes just look up, and I got this like quick. Oh, well, I was like, I didn't bring it up, buddy. I've learned to who's available out there to have these kind of conversations, and who I'm not trying to have this kind of conversations with, because I'm
Yeah,
not here to defend my position. As far as I'm
yeah,
concerned, these aren't theories anymore. They're theories the way that I propose them for others to get their heads around them. But to me, I walk around with certainty in my heart that everything's a lie. I don't
yeah.
have all the answers, but my goal is to, and my quest is to keep on uncovering these. So yeah, and that goes for aliens, Bigfoot. It goes, all of these
All of
things
them.
which are
All of
on the
them.
outskirts of the norm, and that's something that I find is particularly satisfying, having this dialogue with people who can have that dialogue and have this
Absolutely.
conversation without the immediate shutdown. I've even come up with the formula, cognitive dissonance analysis formula that breaks down the 6 steps that actually defines cognitive dissonance,
Yeah,
because
yeah.
it highlights the
Well,
level of people's brainwashing, and
yeah.
it breaks down a system of how people respond to that. And first is to really to shun you, to put you down, then to come at you with some level of intellectual superiority, a stance of
Hmm.
intellectual superiority, and then it's to double down, and then it's to bring other people inside. It's just to shut you up and put you back in line. Everything's about
Yeah,
putting you back in line. Stop asking questions, get back in line, but be normal. Normal
yeah.
is those of us who are in line. And I'm like,
Looks
normal
pretty
is a
bad.
brainwashed existence. Then
Hmm.
what you're saying,
It's
and
so powerful. It is, it just it honestly breaks my heart now to see, some people in my life or just people that I've been close to that, because I do the same thing. I'm in sales. Like, I don't go selling my YouTube channel with the product that I sell. This is my
yeah,
own little thing. Nobody in my life knows that. My family doesn't even know I have this YouTube channel. They don't even know I have the TikTok. A lot of most of my friends don't. So yeah, so to your point, yeah, having this conversation, I told Lance and Rob that on the last one, it is such a a breath of fresh air. It really is, just to be able to shoot it out there. I also wanted to show you this that I found the other week, and it is State Fair of Texas held at Dallas, October 16th to the 31st. Baby incubators right there.
Yep.
And they're in every, they're in every state. We know that. Every city that's had a state fair. Look, this is Dallas's city hall in the
What's about the ostrich things being a recurring theme too? And like
What's that?
Ostriches.
Really?
It seemed to be a recurring theme. Just it's something I like, even in the World's Fairs, like incubator babies, ostriches.
It's the ostrich eggs, right? Because that was a big thing, I believe. I don't really know, but I know that was in like the 90s. That's really funny in ostriches. Yeah, so how do you pull that off? Like, okay, so they were at state fairs, they were at expositions, but that's still not enough babies to put, like I was looking into, and I think we might have talked about it, Lance, but I was looking into poorhouses and alms houses, like well, in Europe they would have those alms houses for like the poor to come live in, and they
Yep.
would, in the 19th century. And I was looking at the numbers of like Michigan, and Michigan said in 1 year they had 400 and something thousand people that went through the poorhouses of Michigan in 1 year, 1876.
1876.
1876. The amount of kids was like 40 or 50,000. I have the video on my TikTok, and I'm like, okay, because we all know orphanages. That was obviously, that could have been a way to kind of send kids out, I guess. But I think these poorhouses need to be looked at again a little closer because the numbers on them are insane. So anybody listening to look into it,
I appreciate you saying that. It's the numbers. When you start looking at the numbers, they just don't add up.
No, they
Yeah.
don't. They don't.
No.
And I've done some really deep diving on those poorhouses, and there's something there. And there certainly is something in Michigan in 1876 because that was the numbers I just told you. So, but how do you think sorry, go ahead, Lance.
No, I was just going to add on to that the numbers thing. So like Mr. 76 was talking about it completely perfect, all the chisel and stone stuff. Like I don't want to negate the fact that there are skilled masons out there that can do perfect work. But you don't have a million of them building stuff concurrently across the globe in the same time. Like the
very similar.
makes zero sense.
Yeah.
No, I'm sorry, but that's such a big point. Is the fact that okay, there's skilled people. I'm not taking away from that at all. Okay, I'm not taking away from that at all. But I'm talking about perfection.
Perfection.
To the millimeter perfection that exists in you go one street down to another street down to another. And I've done that here, Cardiff, where I live. It's a small city, but it's walkable. So I can go from one site to another. I could do 15, 20 sites in a day going from one to another. And the ones that to me sells it is the windows. If you look at the windows, the arches go up one way and the arch goes down another way. So let's say that there's 12 little pieces in each one of those sides, and then 12 pieces on the other side. Never will you see 14 on one side because one of them split. You'll never see. I've taken a string and put it from one side to the other, and it's millimeter perfect. I've taken this big spirit level up there and talking about perfection. Each window in each building is perfect, and then you go to the next building and it's perfect. And then the cymatic symbology in each one of those windows is also carved to a degree of perfection, which I'm sorry, people in the distant past. I'm sorry, granddads, people who want to say that granddad was a master mason and was able to build all of these things. Maybe that guy's the exception. I'm talking about in general, the numbers don't add up. Here in Wales and the UK, it's a little bit different, but in America, it really smacks again in the face because according to mainstream history, if you follow history, and I did, Americans moved from the East Coast to the West Coast, basically for going for gold. They started expanding. At what
just
point?
For gold? Yeah, 1850s, right?
Yeah. At what point in 1850 something did these pioneers go across fighting the natives and fighting themselves and then they get to a place and they're living in these little wooden shacks and decide to just break out this quarry someplace. They start horse and buggying these stones back and forth so they can build a Catholic cathedral.
Perfect stones, not just regular old stones, but
And for Catholicism, when was Catholicism such a big storyline? Play such a big storyline in the American history? Never. Right. But then all of a sudden they're building these Catholic cathedrals that reach to the point that so high in the sky that this really makes no sense. Just think about the stones themselves, much less the construction and the moving of these stones. They don't add up. And
No,
people
it
don't,
doesn't.
this is where the cognitive dissonance kind of stop. Oh, because they did. Okay.
And they
There's
did
a
on
recent show, Tombstone, this TV series Tombstone. They had a version, I think it was 1890 something.
Yeah.
Right now, I watched
Yeah.
this. It talks about the Oklahoma Trail and the
Uh-huh.
path that people were going from Texas up to make their way to Oklahoma and all the hardships that they faced.
Yeah. Yeah.
Tell me when in there were they stopping and building a cathedral in 2 years?
Right. I know. Wagon,
You know,
horse and buggy. I mean,
horse and
horse and
buggy.
buggy. Yeah, and it's always so funny those photos that just a massive cathedral and then the horse and I can't get over it and seeing a horse and
No,
buggy right in front of it. And it's like how that picture right there, just seeing that should raise some eyebrows. You know what I
I've
mean?
been to a
But
cathedral here that they said it's that we think it started being built in the 1100s, and I go, okay, it's harder to argue with people here because their history goes so far back. But go to
yeah,
America, go to Melbourne, Australia.
Australia, dude.
Go to Melbourne, Australia, and ask the
Yeah.
question: wasn't this like 5 boats
Yes,
of
dude.
prisoners and some Navy men, and they went over there and they had a lot of battles and they fought with the natives but then they went to Melbourne and they built building after building after building. And they go, oh,
Huge.
but it was the gold rush. There was a really rich. I'm like, yeah, but just take a minute,
Yeah.
suspend your disbelief for a moment, and
Didn't
just
y'all
think.
use Gold Rush for United States too? It's like they
Yeah,
made it for both. We'll do
yeah.
Australia and
Okay,
yeah,
maybe
to
one.
explain
Yeah,
it
let's
all.
say they built one, maybe two buildings. We're talking about dozens and hundreds. It gets to the point that the numbers just don't add up. That's when it is. If you want to base it on science, then do the science of adding up. 1 + 1 = 2. Yeah. And then you go, okay, 10 + 10 = 20. Holy shit, this city's got 120 buildings. And they said they were all built within the frame of 8 to 10 years.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
It doesn't add up.
Yeah. But people won't look into they just won't look into it. I mean the history, as much history as we read now, it just I don't think anybody even touches it after they leave school. It's just like I've learned history and now I'm gonna go to my grave with those stories, you
Well,
know.
what do? They got people dancing on TikTok now. And like Mr.
Ah.
76, that was the best video, bro.
Yeah, that was. Yeah, it was.
But
Yeah, there's
people
all these
don't ask
dancing
those
TikTok.
questions because they
Yeah,
say, who cares?
that
Who
was
cares?
good.
It's not
Yeah.
gonna pay my bills tomorrow. I still got to go to work,
Yeah,
and that,
yeah,
but
yeah.
that's what they get people locked into,
Yeah.
and
Yeah. It's
they
worked
don't
on
ask.
me before, shit, you know. Worked on
Yeah.
me before this.
Look, I got to admit, I was part of the system at one point.
Yeah.
I had questions on the outskirts, and I liked, to read the National Enquirer. Yeah, there's some alien thing on the front page of this crappy paper that you buy at the checkout counter.
Yeah.
And I had a fascination with it. I watched all the movies and I like comic books. So I had a kind of an open mind to all these types of things, but I was in the system. I understand it. We all were raised in the same indoctrination system, all of us. But it's just the ones that were able to walk away and built their whole personality on the fact that they memorized really well. They got
Mm-hmm.
they had they were able to regurgitate what they memorized really well. It enabled them to get acknowledgement from people, pats on the back, and excel in that system. And I go, okay, you know what? Here's the thing, though. A farmer don't care how well the sheep do in their farmer's field. Yeah, you could. The farmer's like, be as successful as you want, just
Yeah.
don't look on the other side
Yeah.
of the fence.
Yeah,
Yeah,
dude.
and that's
Great
really where
analogy.
people won't look at it. They go, "Yeah, you could be in that fence. You could do whatever you want. You could be the king of that pen, but you're still in a pen." And that's where I stepped out of a long time ago, and through social media and through creating a TikTok channel and developing a finding, I became more. Not my real name, became more Mr. 76 than the real guy I got to engage with the world with.
Yeah.
Because this is more of who I am and my opinion on things, my reality. Then when I
Cool.
got to go out there and, like I said, the job I've got, and I got to be like, oh yeah, that's right, that's pretty good. Yeah, sure, okay.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
get it. I got
Yeah.
bills to pay.
How the hell are you? Yeah, right.
Yeah, I got bills to pay. I got a job. I got to play the game.
Yeah.
And I can't bring this side of it to that side. I once heard that there was a comic book series where Wonder Woman with her lasso of truth met Superman and Batman, and they had them all hold her lasso of truth. And she said, "Who are you?" And Superman said, "Clark Kent." And Batman says, "I'm Batman." And it's true. That's me. I'm Mr. 76. My other name is the guy who has to engage with the world and
Yeah.
be in the system and kind of, make do and dance around other people's stuff to make a living and to live in this world that we're forced to still live in. But in
Yeah.
my head, I'm the guy who's in the background going, yeah, I wish I could open my mouth.
Yeah.
I
Same.
wish I could open
Yeah.
my mouth. I want to point this out to you, or why. But
Yeah.
you got it's a fine line. You got to dance.
It is. It is. That balance is sometimes extremely hard. And,
Yes.
I would say 85% of the time I'm, Logan. You know what I mean? Like that guy. I'm not, this guy, but it's starting to, I see things changing. And I know this is such it's spit out so much now, but after 2020 and all that, we talk about it a million times, but I do see people a lot more curious. What about on your side of the pond?
Okay. I think I was just having a chat. I had a friend over here the other night. And I find, especially here, the British are very much business as usual.
Mm,
Yeah, and cognitive dissonance falls into a different level here because it's almost a cultural that goes back for hundreds of years. It's falling in line, playing by the rules, and I find it was such a quick jump from being locked down and everybody being frustrated to this desire to go back to business as usual. To now,
yeah.
people don't even talk about the fact that we were locked down. People
Isn't
don't
that
talk about
crazy?
the fact that when we were initially told this stuff, and I had just had a baby. My partner at the time just had a baby, and when COVID happened, and they were showing us images of people in China collapsing dead in the street, and hazmat teams coming over and pulling them off. They told us if you walk out that door, that's going to be you.
Hmm.
And at that time, I had a spinal surgery. 2 weeks later, I had a baby born, and then 2 weeks later, we went into lockdown. And I was like, I ain't going out, man.
Yeah,
I mean,
damn,
I
dude.
was glued to the TV, listening to everything they said, and then
Yeah.
I look back and I went, "Wait a minute! They originally scared us to death,
Scared us to death.
and
I
we
mean,
all
I
acknowledge
fell
it."
in line too. Yeah, fell in
Yeah,
line for a little bit there
and
too.
but we at one point we all acknowledged it, and especially here, this seems to have they just dismissed it all and have gone back to business as usual in a way that I find it very difficult. So there might be some people who are curious, but I'm finding them very few and far between. And the links that I'm making to these people like yourselves is through my channel and through meeting people here. I met an
Yeah.
American guy from California. He lives around the corner, and we hooked up.
Cool.
I met another guy who started chat with me, and I took him for a couple site visits, and they were good friends. So through that, it was all through this. So outside of this, I find no. The answer is no. No one's curious. People don't even want to talk about it. People don't want to talk about anything but sports, weather. The small talk.
Absolutely. Absolute
Small
small
talk.
talk. And
Yeah.
I guess more on my side of seeing it is doing YouTube, is doing
Yeah.
TikTok, and you're talking to people everywhere. But in my I guess what it is people are curious, but the cognitive dissonance is still there, so they don't get into, but I get asked questions more, like the questions that
Okay.
we started with, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? But it doesn't go much farther than that. And but what about you, Lance? I mean, you get a lot of people sending you stuff. Is it mostly people already in the crew, already in that world, or is it new people?
There's
Because
a lot of people.
yeah,
Yeah, no, there's a lot of people ask questions, bro, and I always say you can never underestimate the power of planting a seed.
yeah,
Yes. Yeah.
And like that's the biggest thing.
well
But
said.
there's a lot of people that reach out to me, and again, like you're being Logan, you're being Mr. 76, and I'm being Lance from Upstate. This is just us. But a lot of people will reach out and they say, listen, you're waking up more people than you realize.
Mm.
Now, again, that's not necessarily. I always say that all the time. Like, I'm not here to convince anybody of anything. I'm here to show you
Yeah.
what I
Yeah,
see, what I
mask
think,
off, mask off, mask
mask
off.
Yeah.
Yeah,
off. Like, and I will
Yes.
come here if I'm wrong, dude. Like, I will admit to being wrong. I'm not. This isn't a right wrong thing. This is a conversation thing.
yeah,
Um,
Yeah.
I will say, me personally, like, and this could just be the positivity in me, but I really do think that more people are waking up to this every day. You know what I
yeah,
mean? Like, and people are asking these questions, and we gotta, I don't want to thank COVID, but thank COVID for it. And
yeah.
then, like, all this turmoil that's happened has got people thinking, because we all had that wonder, like, there's got to be something more than this. And that was my biggest wonder all the time. Like, there's got to be something way more than this. We're just not supposed to
Hmm.
just, like you said, go to work hard, and then no matter how hard I work, Like they just keep raising the bar and inflating money and you know, like
Yeah.
there's got to be something more than this. None of this
Yeah.
makes sense. And
Yeah.
really, the giants, the Nephilim giants, and my transition from like Sabe, you know, Sasquatch into giants, man. Like
It's awesome, isn't it?
people can,
It's-
and like when you show people legit proof of like
yeah.
Nephilim and
Yeah.
giants and
Yeah.
tribes that lived here and the mounds and give 1,000 examples,
Dude, it's all over.
it's all over. And then the Smithsonian getting smacked around in federal court, you know, like with all this stuff. Like, listen, we got the receipts that we've been saying it, but now people are starting to see it. So then they're going to go back to Mr. 76 Logan and Lance from Upstate, Batman and Darren, and be like, all right, so you guys have been talking about this stuff for a little while now. Now we're intrigued because, you know, even though we were shutting you down and saying it's stupid and we're trying to shun you to keep you quiet because that's what we do in a herd mentality. Really, in the back of my mind, I was thinking, what if he's onto something here?
That's interesting. That's interesting. Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, totally. That's
I
great.
hold on to that hope. I do. I think I'm no longer. At one point, I was trying to convince people. I felt that was my role was to no, I gotta share this with you. You gotta listen to me. You gotta listen to me. Why isn't it to the point that now I go, no, I'm here to illuminate. You know, it's like a sovereign illumination. It's to share the idea that you can be a sovereign thinker. You can think outside of the box. You can ask questions, and by doing so, it possibly will light something in your own head. But I believe that people have to come to the awakening on their own. They can't be force fed.
Absolutely.
You know, it's like to think about religion.
100%.
If you're a religious person, you can't smack somebody in the head with your book, and they're going to be religious. They have to get to that point themselves.
It's
They
just
have to
like
wake up
addiction.
and illuminate themselves.
Addiction's the same way. Addiction's the same way. They gotta, they gotta realize it themselves. They gotta figure out how to, live their life normal. And that's the only reason I got clean is because I was just like, oh shit, okay, it just kind of hit me one day. It's the same deal. Same
It is.
deal. Yeah. Yeah, man, this has been great. I know it's late over there, buddy. So I
Don't worry
really,
about it, man. I'm a late
well,
night guy. I'm a late
yeah,
night guy. Like I said, usually I stay up late all the time. I just happened to break night last night because I had my son had a football match this morning, so I needed to bring him there early, and I
football
couldn't
match.
oversleep. But yeah, football, soccer.
The
Sorry,
real one. Yeah, yeah, I
the
know.
real
Yeah.
football. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I told Lance it's actually my birthday today. I
It's your
turned
birthday.
35 today. So this is a perfect birthday with you two, and I hope we can do it again. So I'm gonna go hang out with the fam a little bit. But
Well, look, man,
this was
I have
fun.
a happy birthday.
Thank you.
I hope you have a good time with your family. I
Yes,
got to
sir.
say, it's been a great opportunity to come and chat with you guys. Lance, I've known you for a while now. It's good to join you over here. Thanks for bringing me into with Logan. Logan, it's a pleasure meeting you. We'll
Likewise.
continue doing these. I'd like to continue doing these and share.
Please.
Join this circle of ours of sharing and sharing and sharing and
Yeah.
tagging each other. And I think this is the way it starts. It continues to grow. I've been here since I was, well, not to say the only one, but I was one of the only people doing it. And I love the fact that it's branching, it's growing.
Yeah. It is.
Movement. It's a movement.
It
We're all
is.
part of a movement, a truth movement.
Yeah.
That's not just about Tartaria. It's not just about Sasquatch. It's not just about UFOs or anything. It's about truth.
Truth,
Real
buddy.
pure truth.
Amen.
And I'm glad to play a role with it. I appreciate you're both playing the roles that you are as well.
Yeah.
And I welcome the continued partnership in this path.
Let's do it. Let's do it.
man.
Yeah. And Lance, thank you, buddy. We just got a text from Rob a while ago. He said sorry he couldn't make it, but we'll get back on here. Hopefully you can join us 76. We got two other.
I'll join every time I can. Yeah.
Okay, cool. We got two other very interesting guys that join us.
Yeah.
But yeah, we'll keep in touch about that. Lance 76.
Yeah. No,
we'll see you guys.
This is awesome.
Yeah, no, it's great.
And please, everybody, go check out Mr. 76.
Yes,
Do me a
exactly.
solid. Go check him out. Check out his book. He's a solid dude. Check him out on TikTok.
Obviously.
Check him out on Instagram. You're on Instagram, right? You said
I'm on Instagram. I'm everywhere. You can hashtag
Books?
Mr. 76. I got 3 books on Lulu.com and on Amazon. I got another one which I've actually had a publishing house asking me when I'm submitting my manuscript. I'm trying to do it professionally this time, not self-publishing. So I got a lot of hopes with this upcoming book. It's called The Amethyst Codes, Formulas for Consciousness Evolution. I've created a bunch of formulas where people can take practical steps to control their own destinies, and it's something that's quite deep. And that one's upcoming, and I appreciate all of you who might have a look at that or my merch page on Redbubble. And
Cool.
all the best to you guys. Yeah. I'll
Yeah,
see you later.
yeah, we'll keep in touch. Thanks for spitting it all out again. Yeah, buddy, we'll keep in touch. Okay, guys.
Okay.
All right,
All the
Logan,
best,
happy
guys.
birthday, bro. I love
Thanks.
you. Tell the family
Yeah.
I
Happy
said hi.
birthday,
all
man.
We'll do. We'll do. Thanks for watching,
you,
guys.
Bye. Bye. Bye.
Bye.